What's going on, folks? Welcome to another freezing cold day in upstate New York, in which I have decided it's the perfect time to come out in the garage and suffer while working on a motorcycle. Today we're going to be trying to get this Austin Racing system finally fully installed on this bike. Big goal at the end of the day, get that hole where these two pipes connect widened so that this top link actually gets some flow through it, because right now it's literally just decorative. There's nothing that comes out of it. And then get this end can fitted down further until it's fully seated, because right now it won't do that. All right, this top can is just loose enough. Luckily, I could slide it over the pipe right here. This bottom one, though, is so tight, I could only get it maybe half an inch down onto the actual pipe before it just stuck solid in place. And I've tried twisting it and wrenching on it, trying to get it back off of there. I don't want to risk cracking any of the welds on the other pipe by yanking on that too much. So I've just left it there ever since I put it on. So my plan to get it back off of there, I'm gonna try this heat gun, try to see if I can heat up just the can and the little tail section of pipe right there to get this to expand enough to slip back off of the very cold and what I'm hoping is contracted titanium pipe down there. So let's see if this works. All right, time to try to pull Excalibur. That's not working at all, and I'm a little worried because it didn't even budge. All right, so I'm gonna try to remove this top pipe then. All right. There we go, top pipe off. It is incredible how light these things are. Full titanium, thin wall. I mean, it is, you can barely feel it in your hand. It's ridiculous compared to like a stainless steel pipe. It still surprises me. So we got the top pipe off. Now I'm just gonna pull the bottom section off. Got that off. Let me kind of show you what the issues I was talking about were now that I've got it off a little bit better. So this is the second set of cans that I've had for this exhaust system. Again, I'll make another video later on explaining the reasons why this is the second set of cans for this system, but at the end of the day, they are, right? So I previously had a set of the V3 minis on here. You can hopefully see on the link pipe that little mark. You can see where the scuff is right there, about the width of my finger. That's how far down this can is supposed to go. Probably see while I was wrenching on it earlier, it is stuck on there right now. I managed to get it maybe half an inch onto this pipe before it just froze in place. And I wasn't able to pull it back off of there easily while it was still on the bike, and I didn't want to wrench on it because, you know, this whole system's just held on with these thin little pieces of titanium, and I didn't want to risk cracking a weld since I've already found so many problems with the welds on there, and not cracked welds, but you know, not fully welded spots. So I didn't want to crack anything. I didn't want to risk bending anything. So I didn't wrench on it while it was on the bike. I'm hoping now that it's off, I'll be able to just twist it, you know, heat it up probably, cool this pipe, heat the can itself, and twist it off of there. But this was the issue. Let me grab a flashlight for a second so I can show you what I have to do with this Y pipe right here as well. So hopefully you can see it in there, but the exhaust port that they put in there is probably a 1/4 inch in diameter, basically rendering that top pipe that you saw on the bike completely useless. You can put your bare hand over the end of the exhaust can while the bike's running and you can't feel any flow coming out of it. It's all passing right by that little 1/4 inch, what I thought was a sighting hole, like just a marking hole so they knew where to weld the bung on there for this top pipe. But after talking with Austin Racing, apparently that is the design right there, is that tiny little hole. That's the correct design. They said, oh yeah, we tested the best numbers with that design, with that size hole. You know, that was the best torque we got with this exhaust system, blah blah blah. I don't know. At the end of the day, it irritates the hell out of me, the idea that I have and paid for this, you know, beautiful top pipe that literally does nothing. It's purely cosmetic at this point. You could even tell that with the other set of cans on there, because I had the orange tips on them as well. And the orange tip on the bottom can, you can see this one hasn't been run at all yet, but the orange tip on the bottom can had black carbon all the way around the inside of it. Perfectly fine. That means it's being used. The top can had nothing. It was perfectly clean. You could have white gloved it and it was clean as the day it was powder coated, right? It looked dumb as hell, right? You've got a perfectly clean top can and a carboned up bottom can. I don't know. My OCD went crazy with it, but anyway. So my plan is to drill that out so it at least matches the diameter of that pipe, so that the top pipe will actually get used. It obviously won't have the same flow as the bottom pipe because it is a split off, much narrower diameter, increasing to a larger diameter. Perfectly fine, don't care. But I at least want it to be used. I can't stand the idea of having it on there purely as a cosmetic. It looks great. I love the way it looks. Don't complain about that at all. But it's like having a fake exhaust on a car, right? Or Harley does this too on their baggers. They'll have one side of the bike is actually running exhaust out, and the other side is just a fake can that's not even connected to the headers. Like, oh cool, it looks better, right? Oh, it's more symmetrical. The bike's symmetrical. Blah, blah, blah. But if it's not being used, it's stupid, right? I don't know. I don't know. All right, folks, so it's about a week later now, maybe 5 degrees warmer, and I'm slightly more hungover thanks to a bottle of Elijah Craig that snuck up on me last night. Ended up taking the end can and link pipe over to my dad's shop so that we could get the end can off of there and then drill out the Y pipe, opening up that stupid little hole that was in there originally. In order to get the end can off, we had to end up slotting the actual coupling for it. It was stuck on there pretty good, and you can again probably see it was actually appears to be starting to corrode on there, which is a little concerning. You can see, hopefully, we ended up punching out that little tiny hole and opening it up. It's now right about 1 inch in diameter. Yeah, so hopefully we'll get a good amount more flow through there. For the rest of today, what we have to do, I'm going to clean up this cut, clean up that hole, open up this cut where it punched through when we were slotting, slot this back a little ways as well so that the pipe can kind of compress a little bit as they're getting put together, and hopefully won't have that issue with the end can getting stuck on here anymore, because I do need to be able to take that can off when I want to take off the rear tire. That would have been a massive pain in the ass if I had to take the whole exhaust apart every time I want to take the rear tire off. So we're gonna fix that so it doesn't happen again. Oh, and then we're gonna put the whole thing back together, obviously. I'll try to get a sound clip at the end and brave this Arctic blast that we're going through right now, that everyone's losing their mind about because, oh my God, it's snowing in upstate New York, something we've never seen up here before. Yeah, cool. All right, let's get into it. Time to clean up this bad boy. There we go. Looks terrible, but you know, it's gonna be hidden by the can, so who cares, right? It's only money. All right, so we've got the relief cut opened up, cleaned up, filed down smooth. Now I'm gonna take and try to clean up all the burrs and crap off of that. There's a fair amount inside of the actual pipe as well. I'm gonna clean up and try to get out of the exhaust stream. Then I'm gonna clean up the whole pipe. Oh, cool, more corrosion. Try to clean up the whole pipe with some isopropyl to get all your fingerprints off there so that it doesn't burn into the titanium. I'll probably actually take some sandpaper too and polish down this area so it's even easier for the can to slide over it, and then we'll start putting it back on there. Oh, this is another fun thing. Huge grinder gash out of the actual mounting flange right there. Really high quality. Happy, yeah, really happy about that. And the corrosion, really cool. I like it a lot. It's doing something. All right, hole's cleaned up. We got all the burrs out of the exhaust stream, out of the hole itself. Now it's time to sand the outside, get that a little bit smoother, clean up some of this oxidation on there. Then we'll clean it and start putting everything together. I'm hoping you can see it with the light, but the seam where they actually formed the pipe, we think was one of the big issues and what the can was catching on. It's a pretty good, you know, a bit of raise right there on that seam. You can probably see the gap left over when you're trying to sand it smooth. So that's one thing I'm gonna put a little bit more time into focusing on, trying to get that flat. So I'm pretty sure that's actually what the can was getting wedged on there from, was that seam. I'm also gonna try and take and polish the inside of this a little bit just to get it a little bit smoother as well. So it slides onto that can a little bit easier. And again, hopefully it's coming up well on camera, but you can see where they welded those stupid tabs on there. And this is what I'm talking about. So this is how, this tab is how it's supposed to mount to the actual exhaust. All right, it slides on and then that tab screws into there. So again, it's the dumbest mounting thing I've ever seen for an exhaust, because you can't clock the exhaust to get the wording facing up. And again, it's not perfectly symmetrical on the back end. So unless you want that cocked off at an angle one way or the other from vertical, there's no way to do it. So, and you know, you can look at my other can as well. They'll mount these things a couple degrees off angle on each can. So it's not like they're perfectly lined up on each can either. So you can't, it's just a god awful design. Like, it's not repeatable. It should be fairly simple to make a jig for this and have it in the exact same spot every time you weld it. then at least you could swap cans back and forth and they'd be in the exact same spot when you mounted it back up. I'm fairly positive, I don't have another Y pipe to connect this to, another link pipe, but I'm fairly positive if this is the case, how that tab is mounted off angle on each one of these, that mounting point's mounted off angle on each one of those. You know, it again, it lends to that opinion that this is a prototype unit. I'm shocked that this is what they would release as the final product. My solution to this was, again, to cut that tab off of there, grind that fairly flat, and use a band clamp to connect it on there. That way I could actually clock it, get the wording and the vertical orientation correct on there. But going back to what I was saying, you can see on the inside of there, hopefully, that when they welded it, it warped the titanium. So there's a good hollow spot there that's now visible from me sanding the inside of there. But again, that warped titanium, I'm guaranteeing, was leading to one of the reasons why it was getting stuck on the pipe. That warping is deforming the circular shape of the pipe, either oblonging it one way or the other, and constricting the center of it. You know, it just one thing after the next with this pipe. All right, so it still isn't fitting on there correctly. Jesus. All right, so since this still isn't, the can still isn't fitting on there, I'm gonna stop messing around and I'm just gonna put another 3 relief cuts, one on the top and both sides, just like how they relief cut the Y pipe where the upper pipe comes out. You know, they put these really nice radius cut relief cuts in there on some of the pipes. I don't know why they didn't do it on all of them, or why they didn't test fit any of this before they sent it. Quality control is a very important part of manufacturing, but apparently, you know, it gets skipped by some companies. So, yep, I'm gonna cut some more relief cuts in there and hope then that the outside of the pipe can compress enough to allow the can to fit on there. Easy enough where I can get it on and off without tools. All right, new slots are cut. Let's see if this bad boy will actually fit on there now. God, am I hoping. Please, please, for the love of Christ, fit. All right, yep, we're gonna call that good enough. All right, so we've got it so the can will actually fit on the Y pipe now. Now we're gonna go through and clean everything up with some isopropyl alcohol, get all the icky fingerprints off of there so it doesn't burn into the titanium. We'll clean up the top pipe in the other can as well. And then the actual fun part, put it all back on the bike. All right, it's all clean. Time to start putting it back together. And now, for the pièce de résistance. Man, that looks way better. Cool. All right, so since I can't stand the idea of a video where you work on exhaust and then you don't get to hear it at the end. We're gonna do something really stupid and start this thing up in the dead of winter. As you can see, it's quite cold out here. All right. Time for my neighbors to hate me. If that is not the definition of a cold start, I don't know what is. It is probably about 0 degrees out here right now. Throw some pretty steam. You can see the turn signal's all fogged up. All right, let's push her back inside. See if I can do this without slipping and eating shit. So like I said before, I used to have the V3 Minis on there. It's a slightly more oblong version, a little bit longer, a little bit more, like I said, more oblong, a little wider at the end. Wasn't a huge fan of these, had a bit of an issue with them. Austin Racing did actually replace them for free with these cans on there. You can probably see it's a little bit, well, you can see it's an oblong shape. The actual diameter of the hole is a little bit bigger on the V3 versus these guys as well. This is a bit narrower, if you can see that. But it's, at least from my memory, these are noticeably deeper in tone. Maybe it's just that slightly less volume of glass packing around it. And the narrower diameter, maybe that contributes to it, but from memory, this is deeper, which I like more. It sounds incredible, right? I don't think there's a better sounding exhaust for this. Oh, another contributor actually might be the fact that I opened up the top port. So you could actually see it. Huh, I didn't even notice that. Yeah, I didn't think about it while we were out there watching it blow steam out the end. There was actually flow through that top pipe. I'll have to, well, I didn't grab it, but my other V3 Mini that I had up top, this is the one that was on the bottom, so you can see, like I was saying, it's coated in carbon, which is fine, right? It's an exhaust, it's supposed to get dirty. I'm perfectly fine with that, doesn't bother me at all. But this is exactly what my top V3 Mini looked like after, oh, probably 6,000 miles. So this is about 6,000 miles worth of carbon. And the top one looked just like this. I mean, you could have wiped a white tissue on there and you wouldn't have gotten any carbon off of it. But as we just saw with it running outside, there's a fair amount of flow coming through that top pipe now that we opened up the Y pipe right there. So I bet that's actually contributing fairly significantly to the increase in volume and lowering tone. Yeah. It's probably more likely that contributes to the difference of sound than the actual end can, because this really isn't. I mean, these really aren't gonna do much. Cool. No, I'm very happy. Like I said, overall, I mean, I don't think there's a better sounding system for this bike out there right now. I don't think there's a better looking system from the like, until you get about a foot away from it. And then you start realizing all the, oh, you know, the pipes come all scuffed up. You can see the seams on them. The welds are not exactly fantastic. Again, those astute hyper fans may notice that the band clamps don't come as stock. Overall, I mean, would I buy it again? That's a hard question, because there are other options, especially now as we get later into the life cycle of this motorcycle. Because I did buy this, when I buy this in September of 2020, so it was fairly new, and there really weren't any options for exhaust other than the Akrapovic system you get from KTM or this Austin Racing one. But now there's starting to become some other competitors out there. Hard to say. I haven't made my mind up yet. So I also haven't been looking at the competitors, so I'm not sure the entirety of what's out there now. So it's hard to say if I would buy this one again or if I'd buy another one. Like I said at the beginning of the video, I do plan on doing a full review of this system and explaining all of the issues that I've had with it other than the ones we just fixed today. So stay tuned for that. And during the summer too, we'll get to watch, or you'll get to see this thing actually out on the road making a lot of noise, flying down the track. My God, there is nothing like the sound of this thing at, you know, 9,500 RPM, screaming down the track. It is, it's like the world's coming apart. I know everyone talks hot on Aprilias and their V4s, which I can't argue. God, they sound incredible. There's a couple of RS V4s at the track that I go to, and man, it is a hard competition. Which I like more, the sound of this or the RS V4. It's a close race there. Not in terms of actual racing, they'll pull on me pretty good. This is not a super sport, but in terms of sound, my God, it is a close competition. Yeah, so that's it today. We got the exhaust all done. I'm happy. It's finally complete after a year and 16 days since the day I ordered it. If you liked what you saw, please consider subscribing. Leave me a comment down below if you have any questions on what we did, any questions on the bike itself, the exhaust, any suggestions on what you'd like to see for future videos. Again, please leave those below, and we'll see you in the next one.